Okay, let's create this cool little icon, this laptop icon in Blender. So this is a beginner tutorial. So if you've never used Blender before, you can follow along. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to just create a cube. So Shift A, and then just go to Mesh, Cube, create a cube, and middle mouse button, click to zoom around. And then now we're going to tab into the cube, press S for scale, Z for Z axis, and just bring it down. So just something to remember, if you press S for scale, the closer you are to your object, the more it's going to work. And then if you want finer control, you have to be far away from your object. So if I press S, Z now, you can see we've got much finer control as versus S, Z in the middle. You can see it scales more quick. That's something you have to get used to when you're working in Blender. Okay, so now we've got I think this is fine. And then now we press S, Y to scale it in the Y axis. And it's just make quite a chunky, we're going to make it quite chunky. So that's our basic laptop base. So in edit mode, press 2 for edge select, hold and shift. Select all 4 edges, and then Control B for bevel, and then just drag your mouse and then scroll your mouse wheel before you click anything, so you can get this nice bevel, maybe 6 or 7. You can see in the left hand there's a menu that says bevel, and we can see our segments here before we commit. But once we commit, it's done. So if I click on it now, we've done it, but that's fine. Okay, so this is our object. So I want to get rid of these ugly edges here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to say shade auto smooth. But now it's a bit hard. We want to bevel these edges, and there's a nice way in Blender of doing this. So go to this little range here that says modifiers and add generate bevel, and then let's add 3 segments because we want a segment on either side, or we can actually only add 2 would be fine. And then we have to bring the amount way down here, so maybe 0.2 would be fine. Okay, I've increased it to 3. It actually works a bit better. So that's our laptop base. Maybe I want it a bit thinner, so I'm just going to go back into tab, select all A, S, Z, and just make it smaller again. So now for the top of the laptop, we're just going to press Shift D, right click, and then RX90. And then now we've got the top, and then go into the right orthographic view by pressing 3 on the numpad, and then just press G and bring it up somewhere around there. Okay, let's add the inside of the laptop. So with the top one selected, tab into edit mode, go to 3 for the face select, and then now we're going to press I to inset, and then this is what it's going to do. And then click and then do it again. I inset another time. And then now we want to extrude it. So now I'm just going to press E. And if you see this line, this is what you want. It's going to extrude along the Y axis and then just slightly extrude it in. And then press I again to inset it again. Slightly, very slightly. And then E to extrude it out. And then we get something like this. So now we've got the screen. Cool. That's already starting to look like a laptop. Okay, let's create the computer keys. So Shift A again for a cube. And then now just press S. Scale it down. Maybe go into 1 for front view. And then bring it up. And then SZ. And then now this is basically our keys. Now we just need to add some beveling. So there's a really cool add-on in Blender. So just go to Edit, Preferences, and make sure you've got Copy Attributes menu clicked here. So what this does is if you, let me just close this here. If you select this one and you want to copy some of the modifiers, you just select this one, select, Shift select, and then you say Control C, and you can go to copy selected modifiers, and we want to copy the bevel. But now you'll see nothing happens, and I did this on purpose. So the reason why you can't see anything is in Blender, if you scale an object in object mode, let me just go here to the side by pressing N, you'll see that the scale here is set to 0.09, and that's taking that into consideration. Then that's why the bevel is not working. If you do it in edit mode, it doesn't affect that. It might sound a bit complicated, but just bear with me. So the way we can fix this is by resetting the scale. So you press Control A. You're going to do this a lot if you work in Blender, and then you can just go apply scale. I usually just say apply all transforms, and then you'll see immediately now our bevel is working. So I'm just going to go here and say shade auto smooth. Maybe bring the amount for this one down to 0.01. That's looking fine. Okay, go to the top view, go to G, and then maybe let's make this a bit bigger, but now I'm going to do it in edit mode so I don't affect the bevel. So I go into tab, into edit mode, A to select everything and just say S, scale it up slightly. Now let's add another modifier here. We're going to add an array. So all the array does is it basically just allows us to copy this over. So maybe let's have a few copies. Let's have maybe 8. And then here where it says factor, this is where we can set the space in between. So at the moment it's set at 1. So we want a slight space in between. So I'm going to set it to 1.05. And then now I wanted to copy on the X, on the Y as well. So I'm just going to go into add modifier, generate an array. And this one is at the bottom. So in Blender, the way your modifiers are organized, the stack matters. So we want this one, make it 0 on the X. We want it to be on the Y. So we're going to make it identical to the other one, 1.05 on the Y, and that's working, but it's going this direction. So we can either bring this over or we can just flip it by putting a minus there. Let's do that. And then we can increase the count to 4. Okay. And that is basically our keyboard. And I'm going to press G, Y, just bring it back slightly. Okay, now I want to make the big space bar in the middle. So I'm going to take this array here on the modifier and apply it, and apply the next one as well. Tab into edit mode, and if you want to, now we've got a lot of objects inside edit mode. Every one of these is an object, and to select an individual object you press L while hovering over it. So press L and then L again, and basically I want to delete these two, so I'm going to press X, delete faces, and then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to just select this face here. So remember 3 is your face select, and then I'm just going to delete this face and select that one and delete that one. And I'm going to press 2 for the edges, and I'm just going to Alt select this one to select the whole edge loop. Hold in Shift and then Alt select this one as well, and then right click and then say Bridge Edge Loops. And then we've got pretty cool keyboard, and that's it. That's how you make the keyboard. So let's make the little tracking pad as well. So we can just go to 7, go to the top, Shift A, add a new, let's work with a plane this time. And then we can just scale it down and say GZ and then GY to bring it over here. Maybe bring it up a bit more. And then just going to go to 7 again. So I'm just sort of tweaking this SY. Okay, that should be fine. And then just S everything, make it a bit smaller. Like that. And maybe just SY again to make SX to make it a bit bigger. It should be something like this. And I'm just going to sort of move it into the center. And remember, very important, Control A, apply all transforms. Then we go into tab and we just say or just say E. And then if you see this line, it means that you're going to extrude it in on the Z axis. So E is for extrusion, like we did with the screen. And then we just extrude this up. And then we select, with this one selected, shift select your keys, Control C, copy selected modifiers, bevel. And that's basically our computer almost done. Now we just need to add this little hinge thingy here. So I'm going to go into the computer. With 3, I'm going to select this one, holding shift, and then until I've got these 3 selected. Now I want to duplicate and repurpose this geometry. That's something you do a lot when you model, is you, instead of creating something from scratch, you can just take existing geometry and repurpose it. And that is one of the best tricks to use. So Shift D to duplicate this. Bear with me, Shift D, right click on your mouse, and then P, separate by selection. And now this is its own piece of geometry, and you can see it's looking all funny there because it lies on top of this one here. So all we're going to do with this one is we're going to add another modifier. We're going to go here and we're going to add a solidify modifier. So generate solidify. And what this does is it basically just gives it some volume. And then we need to put the offset to 1 because at the moment it is putting the volume to the inside. We want it to the outside. So 1, and then we want to increase the thickness. Actually, let's make the offset 0 because something's not working right here. And put the solidify in front, above the bevel. Remember, like I said, so it's beveling first and then it's applying the solidify. We want the solidify to be applied first. Now I'm just going to go to 3, side view, and now I just want to sort of move these into place. So with both of them selected, I'm just going to take this one here. I think this one I want it to be a bit thicker, a bit more chunky like that. Okay, so this is bothering me a bit. So all I'm going to do here, so I put the offset out to -1. I'm just going to bring the thickness down until this feels like it's sort of going in here between these two. Maybe something like that, 0.02. Now it's feeling right to me. Okay, let's add the UI elements on the screen. So what we can do is if we press Shift, right click, we put our mouse cursor here, and if I create new geometry, it's going to be created here. So let's create a plane, say RX 90, tab into edit mode, S, and then go to numpad 1 into the front view, and then select these 2 top vertices. Make sure you pressed 1, so you in select mode, and then GZ, and then maybe just give it some volume. So A, and then E, and then just a slight bit of volume. And then I'm just going to select everything and bring it over to the left. And now if I want to make this bigger, all I can do is I can just go to 3, select this top one and say GZ. And now let's copy these over. So I'm just going to press A to select everything. Shift D, right click, and then GX. So it moves it on the X axis. And then let's do it two times more. Shift D, right click, GX, and then Shift D, right click, GX. And then now we can just play with the sizes. So the top one maybe G. Let's bring this one down. And then this one G, Z, bring it up. And then maybe this one G. Something like that. Okay, and then now for the last one, let's add this little pie chart. So I'm going to go to Mesh, Circle, just add a circle. I think 32 vertices is enough. And then go to RX90, S to scale it down, and then G, Control A, apply all transform, very important. And now we're going to tab into edit mode, press once. So now we can see all our vertices. We've got everything selected. Now I want to extrude this geometry, but extrude it inward. So I'm going to press E and S, and it's going to scale it in like that. And that's fine. A to select everything, and then E. And now we've got our pie chart. Now we can maybe just add the bevel to these as well. So I selected both of them. Select one of our older pieces of geometry with a bevel, and Control C, copy selected modifier as bevel. Okay, and that's basically, now we've modeled everything. So next we're going to look at the exciting part, and we're going to add the lights.